All right, with us this morning, and we're here on the Pursuit of Success to hear about Alero's journey. But for those who don't know you, Elero, could you just give us a bit of an idea of what you've done and the kind of things that you're doing right now? We're going to find out about your story, but the kind of things that you've kind of done so far, if you just give us an idea.
Okay, some of the things I've done so far, I've written a book, so I would say I'm an author, and the title of my book is My Cancer Has Many Faces. I've also produced a podcast. My podcast is Thriving Beyond Your Scars. I work as a property manager in order to pay my bills, as we all have to. I also I participate a lot in patient and public involvement. And just to expand on that briefly, that is involvement in academic research in terms of reading applications. So most of the healthcare and social care things that you see out there, like the COVID vaccinations and things, I've got involved in reading the applications, recommending funding, and things like that. And I do marathons, walking marathons only. Let's get real. I think my claim to fame is 8.5 hours. I do the night shine walk, which I find quite exciting. But I do other things, but I think for me, those are the key things that I can kind of like
Absolutely amazing. And guys, by the way, this is something I didn't realize just now. It just hit me right now. Alero, I didn't mention this to you before, but on the Breakfast Show, we started something called the I Dare You Challenge.
Okay.
All right. And the I Dare You Challenge works like this. We gave ourselves 6 months to work on ourselves. 6 months to work on something that we've probably left, right? Or that we procrastinated on. And many people did different things. Some people decided to start up a new ritual of jogging in the morning and preparing themselves and getting to work 30 minutes early. Other people decluttered their whole house. Other people started to read certain books and do all different types of things. And my thing was that whatever gets presented to me, I would say yes to. All right, just to share this because the listeners know, right? So it was a thing of I focus more in presenting. That's my focus. I enjoy presenting, but previously I learned how to film and edit video, and I said my passion isn't film and editing. Let me focus on presenting. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna say yes. And soon after, guess what? I got called in by.
Oh no!
Yeah.
And that's where we met. So
right now we're having this interview because of the I Dare You Challenge. If it wasn't because of the I Dare You Challenge, we wouldn't be, well, not now anyway, I don't think have actually met. Sherelle, we wouldn't have actually met.
That's true.
So sometimes just being able, daring ourselves to say yes already makes amazing things. That's already, look how you've already blessed a lot of us today already with your presence. You know what I mean? So it's really fascinating. I'm just saying, guys, so if you're doing your I Dare You Challenge, you don't stop it. You keep going on, okay?
If I was an afterthought of you doing video editing and that video production, I've seen some of the production and I thought it was amazing. So do you see what I mean? It's one of those things, it's like you pick up something and you just do it.
Absolutely, it's true. You're absolutely right, Olivier.
There's some hidden greatness there, and you just have to give yourself the opportunity to tap into that potential.
I like that. Can you repeat that again, please? I know it was flying, I know, but can you say that again, please? That was awesome.
There's some hidden greatness in you, and you just have to give yourself the opportunity to tap into it.
Even I am.
Just free flowing, right? Just free flowing. That we got to make sure we captured that and use it. All right, guys, this is a bit of motivation for the morning. But now it's very true what you're saying. And in saying that, so we're hearing about all the things that you've done. And many times people think, they can't do, they think that their dreams or things that they want to achieve are very far away. But one thing about the Pursuit of Success is that our guests show that it's people like me and you who are making decisions in certain parts of their life, overcoming certain challenges in life that create those things to happen, that create those things that we look at and we be like, wow, is that what the person's doing? I mean, like, you're like a public speaker, like, influencing all these different things. And most people are like, oh, I don't have a voice. But you're in a position where you have a voice. Do you know what I mean? So what we want to know is where did Alero start? Where did Alero come from? All right, we want to know a bit about Alero. All right, but before we go into that, because we've spoken quite a bit, we're going to play one song. All right, we're going to play a song quickly just so that everyone can digest everything that happened. We know a bit about who Alero is. and we're going to hear where did Alero come from. And we're going to be right back in just a moment as we're going to get in with Alero's Pursue of Success journey. Let's go. All right, guys, love that. That was a music video by Namibia YPG. Kathleen, I mean, you're born and bred in Namibia. I mean, what was that like? What was it like to watch that?
It was nice. I really enjoyed it.
Really? I thought you was going to say, I have no strong feelings about the matter. I thought you was going to turn that on me. Yeah, because Kathleen, she hardcore, she just cold as ice. I tell you the truth, man. All right, but she was originally from Namibia, and it was good to hear that. But anyway, guys, as we are on the breakfast show, if you are tuning in right now, you notice that we're not having our intros as we normally do. We're having a few gremlins in the system, but we're going to be up. They're getting beaten up. The assassin called Kathleen is dealing with those gremlins, and everything keeps on moving. All right, Kathleen. All right, so we have our special guest today. We have Elero joining us this morning with the one and only Olivier. All right, and we just before the time out, she was telling us a bit about herself and what she's been doing, and we want to know a bit about where you came from, Elero. We want to know a bit more about you. So, Elero, firstly, I mean, are you originally from UK? I mean, you speak like, whenever I see you, I want to do this. Yes, my lady. Yes. Because whenever you talk, I'm just like, my lady. Yes, my lady. Olivier,
very distinguished.
Very distinguished. Like, just like, yes, ma'am, my lady. Sometimes I want to be like, yeah, but when I hear you speak, like, I'm like, yes, my lady.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from.
Okay, so to a certain extent, you're right about the yes, my lady. Born in Lagos.
Okay.
Came to the UK at the age of 2 years old. Raised with foster parents. Obviously, they were Caucasian, and that is where it all began. And this was in Southend.
Oh wow!
So my formative years were in Southend. I grew up there. And
what's it like living in Southend? Because guys, for those who don't know, Southend, I just think of the beach. And when I think of Southend, I think like it's just way out that way. Because I grew up more in the city in London, and it's just the beach. And you just dream about waking up and walking on the beach every day. All right. What was it like growing up in Southend?
I think that was the same thing.
Oh, wow.
And now it's the Royal Borough of Southend, isn't it? Southend-on-Sea. I think some of the things that I actually got from there is like, to a certain extent, yes, you do become Caucasian. Not because you want to, but because it's the way you've been raised. And I always say that if you're raised by a wolf, you become a wolf.
Yeah.
So that has no bearing or reflection on the individual who is being raised that way. It's the environment in which they're raised. So some of the things that I've got from there is that if you do not have good people around you, you would lose your way. And I was meant to be Mary in the nativity play, and they said Mary was never of my persuasion black. But my foster parents said, if Mary was not black, then nobody's going to be Mary.
Drop it like it's hot.
Drop it like it's hot, if you say so.
Yeah.
I became Mary in a nativity. So consciously you begin to act and be like them. I used to be a sprinter, actually. I was the last leg because I like competition. I don't like failure. I'm telling you that for a fact. It's like, but I mean, we used to come last, but I put in everything. I was like the last leg in relay races and everything. So growing up for me was pretty straightforward. I went to school. I did my, athletics and everything. But one of the things...
sorry to cut you, but what was you like at school? I mean,
what was I like at school?
Was you a troublemaker at school? Was you cheeky, or was you...
I was going to come to that. So one of the things is that my father obviously was here, and my mother, but my father did something which I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with. It was like he had to take us back to Nigeria. He was studying. He had 3 kids. He couldn't cope with the three of us because we moved to Watford. You know, these little things that happen. So we moved to Watford. He couldn't cope, so he sent myself and my sister back to live with my cousin, and my older brother was here, but he came back with my older brother a couple of years later. I think that was the best thing he did. And then I had to, well, when I went back to Nigeria, I couldn't even adapt to the school, so I had to go to a school called Lebanese Community School.
Okay.
Because we couldn't identify as being black, or we didn't fit in. Not because we couldn't identify, but we couldn't fit in.
Just because of the way you carried yourself.
And the way we spoke, you know, if I was speaking like these Essex people, you know, and stuff like that. So you can imagine. And I was speaking to my cousin the other day. He said they actually used to lock me in a room and talk and ask their friends what color of the person is behind that door.
Oh, wow.
You know, these are things.
My goodness, children,
you know,
can be mean, isn't it?
But they didn't look at it as mean. It's like, she's just we're so different. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, and things like that. So that shaped us, and that was when we went to Lagos. And then I went into secondary school, but luckily I was put into a boarding school, which actually shaped me, because even then, and I'm so happy you asked me, because this is not stories that I really tell. Even in the boarding school, I went to a convent school, a grammar school. On reflection, I used to do a lot of public speaking. So I was always in the plays, I was always saying poems, because the Reverend Sister identified with me as being one of them. I.e. because of my accent. So I was given every opportunity.
Oh, wow.
I used to speak to music. So when people are playing music, this is why, to a certain extent, this comes to me naturally. So when people are playing music, I used to do a lot of, I was always a narrator. So that in itself was like, okay, good. It's only on reflection now I can see the discrimination.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have seen it then.
Yeah.
And then I multitasked even at that level.
Oh, wow.
So I would have to, I got all my grades. I was a fantastic student.
See, I'm starting to feel jealous now.
High achiever.
I'm starting to feel jealous.
And then
because we was all problematic, most of us in London. But with you, I can almost hear violin music. But there are challenges happening in that scenario.
Yeah, so so I would have to do my poetry. I would have to read for my plays, but I'd also have to do my academics. And I would also have to
Okay.
Yeah, so I was always I never did one thing.
So you was, sorry to cut you, so you was multifaceted, multi-skilled, you was always put forward in things. Would you say you were naturally did you naturally have a bold character to always go forward into things, or was you more ushered into things?
I was ushered into things because I was very shy.
Okay.
And I knew that in order to get out of trouble, focus. I didn't challenge anything. If you say jump, it's how high. Jump how high. And one of the things that really resonates with me, especially when I returned to Nigeria, I cried a lot. I didn't understand the culture. I didn't understand the people. It was too harsh for me.
Yeah.
And you say boo to a goose, so as they say, and I would just burst into tears. If you tell me off, I would burst into tears. I was always crying.
Yeah.
And on reflection, because I was not happy.
Yeah.
You've taken a fish out of water.
And I think, listen, this is very important. And I think why, even as parents, we need to really be mindful of young children, because we can make adult choices for how we choose to navigate our family. And a child can behave in a particular way, like, why are you crying all the time? Yeah, child, what are you crying for? But
I'm talking like my dad now. That is everything he always told me all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's not helping, it's hurting.
It was hurting.
Right? And I think that's why we need to have this especially like on Thursdays, we deal with relationship power, how important our words are and how important we need to give space to our partner, to that child, you understand, for them to manage and help them to work themselves out, because nobody's perfect. Everybody has things that they need to work with, and we need to give room for that, to say, why are you crying?
Stop crying. She's always crying.
Do you know what I mean?
And I was always crying because I didn't get it. What are you people doing? What are you saying? I just didn't get it.
And they're seeing it from an adult perspective. They're not seeing it from the child's perspective.
That you've taken a fish out of water.
Absolutely.
To an environment that is not conducive for that person. But, there's so many things culturally that one learned the respect. But I was never disrespectful in the first place. Yeah. So it's like, what are you teaching me here? I think I've always had that. It's like, it didn't make sense.
Seriously, what have I done?
Nothing ever made sense to me. So that was, so then I did my secondary school. Then I did my first degree at the University of Lagos in philosophy. But one of the things that I do know is that I never...
Sorry, why did you choose philosophy? Did you choose philosophy?
It was just easy. Couldn't be bothered. If philosophy is not something you do at 19 or 18, it's like, what did... But guess what?
Because I'm listening like, why would you choose
Why would I do philosophy? But it's like, guess what? You know what? I can't be bothered right now. Okay, you want me to go to university? You want me to have a degree? Okay, philosophy sounds good. Then so it was a philosophy major, English minor, and linguistics options.
Okay, wow. So it's a lot to do with communication there as well.
A lot of communication. And one of the things I loved about linguistics was the phonetics. So I can write phonetically like fire and things, the pronunciation straight from the dictionary. I'm like, okay, I can live with this.
Yes.
And I was in my element anyway because my father never spoke. My language is Shakiri. My father never spoke the language. He said, I didn't ask you to, I didn't spend all those years abroad to now come and speak, So the best I could do was the pidgin English. So I don't speak my language, unfortunately. Okay. And I have a feeling that a lot of this is going to resonate with a lot of people of a particular generation and age. And even now moving forward.
No, like even with me, like I'm originally from Ghana, right? And the only thing I remember of my languages are the swear words, bad words. Because those are the ones my mom would use a lot at the time because she was going through a lot. And there were things I used to remember, but as time went on, I kind of lost it. So, and also because of what was happening in our family as well, because my parents separated, so I didn't get to own the language, and she was really upset. So I learned the bad words.
So, and like you rightly said, so my mother never returned to Nigeria. They also separated. So it was my father in new relationships. So, so all the dynamics that goes with that. But anyway, one of the things that I wanted to do, I wanted to be an air hostess. Okay. I didn't, and...
You'd be a good air hostess.
My father said, do you want to be an international? I said, okay, all right then. I cannot even use the other words. Wow. So he did not, that was not looked upon favorably. But I continued doing what I did. But again, like I said, you take fish out of water. What happened was eventually I returned to the UK. I couldn't do it. Not because I didn't want to, but it just did not sit well with me. And that is because of my formative years, my upbringing. And I always had this thing, I had to come back. And when I came back, that's when I decided, again, I was quite smart because one of the things I knew, like if you come here, people say, oh, you're going to do cleaning, you're going to do this. I owned a shop in Nigeria. So what I did was I spent 6 months learning how to type and doing speed writing. I said, guess what? I'm a graduate. I'm not going to clean for nobody. The worst thing that will happen to me is I'll sit down and be a secretary and I'll be a typist. So I gave myself 6 months to learn how to type and do speed writing. Wow.
So we've already got, there's been golden nuggets already flying all over the place from what we're learning today, guys. But one that's been put to our face here is, set goals, right? And set standards. Yeah. Right? Because if we don't do that, we can be, or anything can happen. But we know that if we set goals and set standards, we know if we're behind, if we're close to, if we are, according to the knowledge we have, prepared for what's coming ahead. And that's what you set that goal of 6 months to achieve X, Y, Z. Worst case scenario, I'm a secretary because I don't want to do X, Y, Z. Not to say that X, Y, Z isn't a good job for people to do, or one's favorable than the other. But for you, your choice was, no, I don't want to do X, Y, Z. I want to do at least this going upwards, onwards, right?
Yep. So I said that. And luckily for me, when I came, yes, I did get a job as a secretary. And I can remember somebody telling me, because I think I got my 60 words a minute, and I can remember somebody at work, because when we come back, people don't really know who we are and everything. All they see is the color of our persuasion. And somebody was, type faster. And I just looked at her and said, oh God.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? It's like, do you know what's happening to me right now? Type faster. Oh my God, I was really irritated.
And by the way, guys, it's not the keyboard like you see today.
It was
Kathleen's look at Kathleen's eyes. Did you get that? Did you get that, Kathleen? It's and you press it and the thing comes up.
I was like, type faster. And then I knew how to use computers and stuff like that. And that is how I got into housing. And that is how I got into property per se, because I started as a secretary in housing, then moved into the development.
Pause there. We're gonna have to pause there and take a time out, guys, because this is very interesting. So imagine this, right? We've set goals, we've set standards. So we've got into the office. That's where you wanted to be, in the office, the secretary. So you had to set goal, you had to set standards, and then you're taking the next step to go into property. All right. So and that's another ball game. That's another trade in itself. We want to hear more about that. All right. And this is a time when there's a lot working against you. There's a lot of situations, a lot of perceptions in the environment, potentially in the workplace that probably haven't even mentioned yet, against you. All right. And we want to know how you manage to step up and do it. All right, guys. So look, this is our breakfast show. We're really enjoying the journey with Elero this morning. All right, we're going to go into some more music, guys. We're going to go very quick to continue with the pursuit of success journey of the one and only Elero. Okay. And Kat, what have you got for us?
I have Hold Us Together by Turnwells.
Oh, nice.
Love it.
I like the Hold It Together. It stays with the theme of today. Unity, togetherness.
That's Kat, that's just how she is. She's just Kat. She's Kathleen. We're right back after this. As we're continuing with the journey today, the pursuit of success of Alero, just before the time out, you shared with us that originally you grew up in the UK, right? You spent your time growing up around a Caucasian family, so you in Southend. So that was you were accustomed to. That's how you spoke, and then there was obviously a change in the family, so you went back home, and you felt like a fish out of water. Even the children that were around you, they were like, "Close the door." Ask you to speak, and everyone would be like, is that a Caucasian person or is that a lady from here? And they would say it's a Caucasian because you spoke very English, had a very strong English accent, but you continued onto your journey and you did well academically. You had a situation where you was ushered into things, right? You generally was a shy person, but I think in the spirit of obedience, right? Yep. It's like, let me just do it, right? But that alone shows us that, we're capable of anything, right? Our shyness or our timidity is the only thing that limits us. So long as we go in that situation, we can make certain different things happen, So even though you was shy, the spirit of obedience put you in different opportunities, different situations where you was being a great communicator, writing and other things like that. And then it was a thing of, I don't feel comfortable here. I want to go back to the UK. Now, everyone's telling you if you go there, you're going to be just doing a cleaning job. All right, there's nothing wrong with a cleaning job, but for you, your standard was, I want to be, worst case scenario, I'm a qualified person. I'm a graduate. You know what I mean? I know my value in terms of what I've done academically for myself. I don't want to be less than a second. At least I'm going to work for myself to learn how to type for 6 months. And if anything, when I touch down there, I'll be a secretary.
Yep.
That is it. That's it. I just going to be there. I don't care. 6 months. Right? Yep. So while you're still back home, you worked on that, and when you arrived, you was able to get a job as a secretary. Now here's where it gets interesting, right? You was in that environment, obviously during that time, obviously because of various reasons in terms of color of your skin as well. Would you say that there might have been a bit of prejudice against you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But again, as a shy person and as somebody who knows one's value, that is why, it's like driving. If you're a typist or you're a secretary, you have your own space.
Yeah.
I needed my space. Give me the instructions. Okay, type this. Okay, that's fine. That's all you asked me to do.
That's right.
But having said that, the beauty about your value and your own worth is people saw I was more than what I pretended to be. So people noticed. So if you give me something to type, if your own grammar was wrong, you'll get something better in return. Yeah. And in the workplace, people recognize that.
Yeah. And that didn't happen in one day. It didn't happen in 1 week.
It took time.
It took time.
It took time. And the way you speak with people, I think, and a lot of comportment, the way you comport yourself. I always comport myself to a certain extent in a respectful manner. And again, the culture back home. So I respected, if you were my manager, I would respect you. It had nothing to do with age. It had nothing to do with anything. Okay, you're the one. Okay, just tell me what to do. As long as your instructions are clear and concise, because if they start getting blurry, I would get blurry too.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It's like,
I'm actually the same. Like Thursday we talk about relationship power. I'm like that. I like structure and I like systems and I like clarity.
Yeah.
If you don't give me clarity, then I start get blurry as well.
So clarity of thought.
Yeah, clarity of thought, and that's really, really important. And many times some people can actually get upset in an environment that they're in, and they haven't given it time. They haven't given time to show their value. They haven't given it time to show their worth. They want Rome to be built the next day. You know what I mean? But consistency in showing your character, in showing what your values and your standards are, it can take time sometimes. Yes or no?
Yeah, it does take time. So I got into housing, and in housing you have housing officers. I prefer the development side because I prefer to work with contractors and consultants. For me, it was precise. The social aspect of it, the housing, and I was like, I don't understand you lot. Housing, I didn't get it. So I progressed and I became a development officer.
Did you put yourself forward for the role, or did they come looking for you for the role?
So this is where it gets interesting. So the first one, no, I didn't put myself forward for any role. What happened was that somebody was leaving and they just told us all to act up. Because I can be lazy like that. So what am I like? Oh, for goodness sakes. So they told us to act up. So we all acted up. It was like, how do you, when you're shuffling cards, just, okay, chairs, okay, you just go. So I acted up. I was a development assistant, became a development officer. But during that period, so I think, I was supposed to be a development officer then. I had a child and became a single parent. And my child was poorly for the first 7 years. So automatically, my own career progression stopped.
That's interesting. Because the thing is, leading up to that, was not easy, right? Things where you would have been divided. Imagine you've got this responsibility in your career that you're working towards. Then you've got your own life to deal with as well.
Yeah, and that was nightmarish because you can actually see the discrimination. So for the first 7 years, I was more of a carer than a mother. And I can't go into details, but it was not a pleasant experience. And that actually stopped my career progression in the first instance. But what it did do is that I had to be a voice for my son. He was so poorly. I knocked on every door, consultants, So I now had to have a voice. Whilst I was being discriminated against and other people were my voices. Like, what is this? What happened at work? They discriminated against you. Do this. I became a shop steward. I had to join the union.
Hey.
And as soon as I became a shop steward, they stopped harassing me. It was horrible.
So a shop steward
is a union person. So not only did I become a union person, a shop steward is, if you're in trouble, I'm going to be the one sitting beside you.
Oh, wow.
And if they're dismissing you, I will have to understand why you're being dismissed. So I had to become a voice, and it's because I had to be a voice for my son, then I started being the voice for everybody.
This is interesting, right? But do you see how life keeps navigating you in this aspect of using your voice as being the representative for people?
Yeah.
I mean, it was happening when you was, in school, in your schooling days, and now it's happening in your work, and it's happening during the time of adversity.
Yes.
Right? Do you see how many of our talents, many of our strengths or new things come into our life when we insist to stand during the time of adversity? It's fascinating. It's really amazing. Adversity brings uncertainty, right? Yeah. It brings uncertainty. And sometimes, when an opportunity comes in the time of adversity, we might even leave our certainty, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Wow, you phrased it beautifully.
Yeah, we spoke about this.
Yeah, that's really well said. Yeah,
it's quite interesting how that happens.
What did you say? It comes in adversity. What?
So during the time of adversity, when we decide to stand strong, a way is made through uncertainty. So we can choose to go in the way of uncertainty, and that's where something new gets made. And we have to leave the certainty of where we are. right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's when new things are formed. You know, we actually spoke. This was actually, and you know what? I'm actually plagiarizing this a little bit because this was actually shared in our help center on Sunday, and that's what you made me reflect on when you said that.
Yeah. So in all this, so I became a shop steward, but then I knew to a certain extent that with my son's health conditions, I would not really make a lot of progress at work. So I decided to study law part-time.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It doesn't get, so I was doing, luckily I had my philosophy degree, so I decided I would do law part-time because I didn't have to do jurisprudence. So I did a 4-year degree, 3 years part-time with my son who was unwell. But guess what? I hacked it.
What level of focus is that?
Yeah, military precision, I called it then.
Yeah.
I would have to get him up in the morning. I would have to go to work, drop him off at the nursery, go to work. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And then I graduated. I think on the last paper I passed out. On the last paper I passed out, I remember European law. I passed out, and they took me out of this thing. When I recovered, they said, you know what, you can come back and do it. I said, no, I'm doing it now.
There it is again, guys. There it is again. There it is again. Setting the standard, right? The circumstances isn't dictating it. I'm going to dictate it. That's what you did right there.
I took control over the situation because I was thinking like, okay, I passed out. Okay, but hold on a second. The mere thought of having to come back to sit this again when I'd already prepared for it, it was never going to happen. So I was going to do it there and then.
But no one would have blamed you for saying come back, right? It was in terms of how you felt, in terms of what was going on, it was the logical, a comfortable feeling option at that time. So no one would have said, you'd been like, yeah. Probably people would have been like, just come do it next year. It just makes sense. Why would you? But within yourself, you're saying it's not going to be like that. It's going to be like this.
Because I knew my home situation, my personal life. I knew what was happening at work. So there are just so many layers. And it's like, that is one less thing for me to think about after that. So I graduated. And based on that law degree, I now started getting promotions at work.
Okay.
Because I was now a little bit more confident and my son was getting better. So I started getting promotions out of the job, because if you stay in housing 2-3 years, if you haven't been promoted internally, you need to move on.
Oh, wow.
So I just moved on, and then I got into leasehold management.
Wow.
So I got to the level of a leasehold manager. So I was doing good. I was really doing good. And then when I was there, I now said I wanted to do a master's of law in dispute prevention resolution.
Hey, I didn't try saying that 10 times.
But that was interesting because, one, I said I wasn't going to pay the school fees. Yeah. And 2, my employers had to pay because I thought I was great.
You know your value. You know your worth. I know
my value. So luckily for me, I had a friend, the Caucasian Daniel. I said, Daniel, how do we write this now so that they pay? And he said, they only give you 1 day off. I said, I need 1.5 days. He said, if they only give you 1, okay, let's do the 1. Guess what? The lecturers used to wait for me to come for the other day.
Easy.
They wouldn't start work until they wouldn't start lectures. Because I was commuting from Rochester to University of Westminster.
Oh, wow.
They wouldn't start until I got there. They could not believe it. And I asked them, I said, how many years does this master's take? They said 2 years. I said, why is it 2? What's the problem with it 2? They said, because dissertation. I said, I'm doing it in 1 year. So I don't have time.
So what, you were driving from Rochester all the way into London? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll park the car at Gypsy Hill.
And they wait for you.
Yeah.
And they wait for you to start the lecture on the other. Gosh, that's determination.
Wow. I know, right?
Because they hadn't, I said, why would I do a master's in 2 years? What's this thing? They said it's a dissertation. I said I would do it in 1 year. So I did it in 1 year. That was it. So
that's 12 months of focus.
Yeah.
That's 12, you know what I mean? People have the buffer of 2 years, right? But you are doing 12 months of focus to wrap this thing up because you have a goal in heart to achieve.
And my family were great because I would have to drop my son with my sister, my mom. They would take him to school. I would run to Rochester to work, quickly come back. Anyway, I don't know how... It's mind over matter. If you don't mind, it does not matter.
You know what? I'm feeling really terrible right now. I'm feeling. I feel like this is it. This is feeling. Kathleen. You know when you have like these guests coming on, they start telling you all this stuff, and you feel like I haven't done nothing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we're like, okay, I need to travel from South to North London. Oh, woe is me. And then you hear a story like this, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, see, look, guys, seriously, what we're seeing here today, it really is about us, you, me, you. It's us. It's not the circumstance. It's not the environment. It's not the situation. It's not even what people say or the limits that people can put on us or even what we feel. But it's about what we determine inside of ourselves. It just keeps hitting us again every morning on the breakfast show. Good gosh.
But I still think it's because of my formative years, I never did one thing. I can't just not do one thing because I think I would be too bored.
That's true.
I'm sure now
you've conditioned yourself in that environment.
I think now they would say, if I had been here, they would have said I had ADH or something. So ADHD. Something like that. They would have labelled me and said, oh, shit. It's true. They would have labelled me at some point.
You're right.
So, so life was beautiful. Life was good. And following on from there, I decided I wanted to train to be a solicitor. And I was already in law school.
But was you just like looking out the window and you was like...
Oh, what can I do next?
Yeah. I'll go by
because, you know why? Because like I said, you said I was obedient. I don't like getting into trouble. And sometimes socializing, you really have to be mindful who you socialize with.
True.
And I thought, if you go into academia, not everybody is academically inclined. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what you go into, whether you're training to be anything. Mm-hmm. You meet like-minded people, but you're not getting into trouble.
Yeah.
The devil is not coming for you to say, do this, do that, So raising a child, going to school, I was making good connections. It was good network, good people. Yeah. And it's important. Then you come home, my day used to start at 4 a.m.
Wow.
Drop my son at school, go to work, go to uni when I was trying to be a solicitor 3 evenings a week. And one day I was fatigued.
Wow.
And I didn't understand why.
And that was just you, yourself, and you.
Yeah, me, myself,
and God was with you, obviously. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. Then I got fatigued. And when I got fatigued, what happened? Cancer. So the lesson I want to say is that we need to be mindful too, how we exert ourselves.
Yeah.
That was when cancer hit. And then that was when my life changed.
Wow.
I think that's going to be continued.
You know what? I think I need to give you this chair. That is powerful. That is powerful. You hit the right mark as well, because we're just about to finish the program.
I know.
You've been looking at the time. But Alero, thank you. Thank you for sharing this with us today. And there's so many different nuggets, listeners, that we've literally taken on board today. And I believe that from hearing this, I know many of you must have many questions for Elero. Many of you have personal challenges that you're going through right now, and you're wondering how are you going to manage it. As well as the personal challenges, you have your goals that you're trying to achieve, and it feels like your personal challenges are in the way or are telling you, no, you can't have those goals. So feel free to message us. You can message me on, you can send me an email. Some people prefer using email, and send it to producer@libertyradio.co.uk. That's producer, okay, at libertyradio.co.uk, okay. And you could just send me any questions that you have for Elero, and then we'll get straight to her. Or you can send a message onto our Breakfast Show WhatsApp line. And the Breakfast Show WhatsApp line is, Kathleen? +44 75 79 79 6845. That's +44 75 79 79 6845. That's the Breakfast Show WhatsApp line. It uses the WhatsApp platform, but it's great because whatever continent you're on, you can communicate with us and we can hear your voice. All right, guys. But look, we're gonna have to stop there. I'm gonna speak with Elero to see if I can smuggle her in for next week Tuesday. All right, when I do this, I completely disregard if people have their diaries set or not, but we just try anyway, just not the door. All right, but definitely send those messages in to us, and we're gonna have to stop there. And guess what, guys? I just want to thank Kathleen for being a great woman of sound. You're absolutely awesome, Kathleen. All right, I want to thank Elero for being our guest today. You have been absolutely wonderful, and we look forward to continuing our journey. And also want to thank you, Olivier. for joining us today and bringing such lovely swagger this morning. Alero, if somebody wants to, because I know you're very much online, you're very present online. If somebody wanted to get through to you, how could they connect with you? Yep.
You can follow Alero on Thriving Beyond Your Scars. You can send her an email at thrivingbeyondyourscars@gmail.com if you have any questions. And all the social media is on Thriving Beyond Your Scars.
Okay. So Thriving Beyond Your Scars at... Sorry?
At gmail.com is her email address.
Okay, at gmail.com. And obviously you can just search Thriving Beyond Your Scars. And
you can search my name.
Yeah, search your name. It'll be there. You see everything there. You'll see everything. You get access direct. You just rolling like that. Yeah, trust me, Thriving Beyond Your Scars, even on Facebook as well, on there as well. Okay, and also, like we said, any questions, Breakfast Show WhatsApp line. Thank you, Olivier. Thank you, Alero. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, dear listeners. We'll be back tomorrow on The Breakfast Show. It's going to be a Wellness Wednesday, and we're going to have another tip on how to take care of this the only place we have to live in while we're on this earth. All right? So make sure you don't miss it and wake everybody up. Until then, have a robust Tuesday. Ciao for now. Wake up and start your day with The Breakfast Show on libertyradio.co.uk. Monday to Friday, starting the week, prepare for a More Music Monday with songs that will make you move, bop your head as you prepare to start your day and your commute. On Tuesday, get ready for the pursuit of success. Join us as we interview a special guest as they share their journey to create a life of quality. Definitely have your notepad and pens ready for those golden nuggets. On Wednesday, we have Wednesday Wellness, dealing with subjects related to physical, mental, and your spiritual health, including nutrition ideas and tips to help your physical body run well. Then we have Thursday is Relationship Power, tools, guests, and tips to develop healthy relationships. And finally, Friday is a Replay Friday, where you have a chance to listen to one of your favorite programs that have been aired on the show. Join us live on The Breakfast Show, Monday to Friday, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Not to be missed. Wake up, because you can't start your morning without it.